Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of T&C Sports Podcast. Now, as you can tell, I'm all alone today. Fayed asked for a little break to get away, and I'm going to do that to him as well. He's one of my closest friends. I'm making sure he's okay every day. I hope he's doing well, so I'm going to give him that break. He should be back next week, but if he needs more time, I'm totally prepared to give him some more time to kind of get his mind right. He's been kind of locked away, and his grandparents not allowed out of the house since COVID. So, anything I can do to kind of help him, get away from things, I'm 100% willing to do. But anyways, let's kind of switch off that. We got a lot to talk about. But before I get into anything, if Fayed is not available next week, who would you guys want to see on the podcast? As you know, BAP has been on here a couple times. So is JD, Andrew Barton. I got some other friends I could bring on. Just let me know who would you like to see on, and I'll try and get it worked out. It should be fun. I always love hearing new people's opinion. And if you're a viewer of the show, hit me up. Maybe see if you're cool, get you on here. We'll see. But let's get right into it. I'm going to start with the Super Bowl, man. That's the biggest thing that's coming up this week. February 7th, I believe, at 6:30. We got the Tampa Bay Bucks versus the Kansas City Chiefs, man. It's going to be a good one. I don't know what else to say. So I'm going to make my pick. We held off on making picks last week to make it this week. I have Fayed's pick locked in, which I will say after I make my pick. So let me get right into it. As you know, it's the matchup of the young GOAT versus the GOAT, Tom Brady versus Mahomes. So it should be a good one. Mahomes is looking like he's going to be the best quarterback of all time, whereas Brady is most likely, the consensus GOAT as of right now. And this is going to be his 10th Super Bowl, so he's fully ready. He knows what to expect. There's no fooling with Brady. Even though he has struggled in the last week or two against the Saints and the Packers, their team has got it done. And one thing I would be scared if I was the Chiefs is the Bucs defense is stepping up when they needed to. They held the Saints in check the whole game, and they held the number one offense in check in the Green Bay Packers the last time they played, which was about 2 weeks ago. So Mahomes, I know it's crazy hard to stop the Chiefs offense, but, if anybody can do it, the Bucs defense is on a roll. They got Devin White in the middle. They got some solid corners on the outside. Number 23, Bunting, has been playing very well, or Bunting, excuse me. And then they have number 31, and Winfield, the senior or junior, Antoine Winfield Jr., who has been playing phenomenal recently. Especially against Green Bay. He forced 2 fumbles, one huge one at the beginning of the third quarter. So I expect him to play huge. And their defense is really good. It's going to be really hard for the Chiefs to score. But the Bucs offense needs to step it up. The last 2 games, they've been only scoring off, the turnovers their defense has created. I said this before the Packers game, and the Packers ended up turning the ball over, 2 or 3 times. But, Mahomes and the Chiefs offense with Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill is going to be hard to, create turnovers off of. Mahomes rarely makes mistakes. As I know I said this with Rodgers, but I can't see their defense, bailing their offense out 3 weeks in a row. And I think the Chiefs offense is too overpowered. They're in a great groove. They're 14-2. The Bucs were 11-5, but, man, they won 3 road games in the playoffs, which is, really hard to do. So obviously I can see the Tampa Bay Bucs winning, but I think the Chiefs are too much of an offensive powerhouse to slow down. And the Chiefs defense always seems to step up in the playoffs, which I would expect them to do again this week. Packers defense isn't too good, and they got 3 turnovers in the fourth quarter, late third quarter against Brady. So I would expect maybe 1 or 2 interceptions from Brady. And I think this is either going to be a shootout or it's going to go down the wire. That's how most games are, obviously, but the Chiefs are 3-point favorites, and I think they're going to cover that. My final score prediction is going to be 34-27. I think it's going to be a one-score game. Obviously, I think the Bucs defense is going to keep them in the game a little bit, maybe get 1 or 2 turnovers from Mahomes or, a fumble. But I think ultimately the Chiefs are going to get the ball last, and they're going to, put the game away, kind of like how Tom Brady did last week against the Packers. So that's my Super Bowl prediction. It's going to be awesome to watch. You're going to get our reactions next week. Now I'm going to say Fayed's pick. Fayed is picking the Tampa Bay Bucks. I did not get any reasoning behind that. I didn't want to go too in detail. I asked him. That's what he told me. So we'll see that. And I just wanted to say my record prediction in the playoffs. I'm first place for the record prediction. Record will be right here for like the whole season. But in the playoffs, I'm 5-7, so I'm not too good picking teams in the playoffs. Fayed, though, is 3-9 in the playoffs. So, not too good. And Davin, wow, he is 12-0 in the playoffs. That is insane. I haven't told him that yet. I just added up right before I started here. That's awesome. That's crazy. And he picked the Chiefs, I believe. I think he's going to pick the Chiefs. So, hey, maybe it'll come true. Maybe my pick will come true. And then Bap is 8-4 in the playoffs. And I believe he's going to pick opposite of Davin due to the fact that he's one game behind Davin in the standings, as you could see. So he's most likely going for the Bucks. And I'm going to go for the Chiefs. As I said, I think they're going to cover the spread and take care of business and win Mahomes' second Super Bowl in a row. I do know that Super Bowls are super hard to win back-to-back, but I believe this is the start of the Chiefs dynasty. People are going to be, coming to play with Mahomes, even though he's making crazy money and, Chiefs cap isn't going to be good. I think they are the next dynasty. They are the next New England Patriots I don't know if they could keep it up that long as the Patriots did, but at least for the next 5 years, they're Super Bowl favorites, majority of those years. I'm going to call it right now. Now, the other big news that came out this week, the other day actually, is that the Detroit Lions are trading Matthew Stafford to the Rams for 2 future first-round picks, a third-round pick, and quarterback Jared Goff. Now, this was a blockbuster trade. It's the first blockbuster trade of the, off-season, even though the season's not technically over, of, the teams making big moves. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on the trade right now, obviously. I'm going to go from each perspective. I honestly think this was a pretty fair deal. You could say that the Rams heavily overpaid for the, Matthew Stafford, which I could totally see. But in my eyes, I think Matthew Stafford can make this team a Super Bowl contender. And that's what the goal of the trade was. I think that they're going to come out, and Matthew Stafford's obviously, in my opinion, a better quarterback than Jared Goff. That's not even an opinion. That's a fact as of right now. Jared Goff is young, and yes, he can still improve, but Matthew Stafford is better, and it's not even close as of right now. And right now, the Chiefs are in Super Bowl or nothing mode, so they are willing to give up those first-round picks for a guy like Matthew Stafford who could get the job done. Now, this could all backfire for the Rams. If they don't make the Super Bowl, Matthew Stafford, first time in a new year, new system, maybe he doesn't perform. He's never been in the playoffs. He could, kind of choke under pressure, even though I don't think he will. That's always a possibility. So I think the Rams won this. I think the Rams won on their side, but I also think Detroit won on their side because not only that, they got 2 first-round picks, which, even though they're the Rams, and they're probably going to finish somewhat high, that's still a great asset to acquire. First-round picks in the NFL are huge. First-round picks in NBA are, late first-round picks in NBA, aren't as good, but late first-round picks in the NFL are awesome. Anywhere in the first round is obviously amazing. Obviously you prefer front 15, but, nobody's going to complain if they can get it back 15. So I think they won that. Not only that, they got a third-round pick, which, a bunch of studs come out of the third round as well. Shout out McLaurin. He came out the third round. And then you also get a young quarterback, Jared Goff, who is solid. He's digressed a little bit the past couple of years, but he has shown some greatness, and he could step it up. They have good wide receivers. I know some of them are free agents, but, they may or may not resign. And Detroit, I agree with the fact that they need to go in rebuilding mode. It kind of seems like they've been trying to win, but they kind of, don't close out games. So I think now they're going into full rebuild mode, setting the stage to work their way up in the draft. And that's how a lot of times it goes. I know that, especially being a Washington fan, the past couple of years, we drafted a lot of defensive players, and it's starting to pay off. So hopefully, it all goes well with Detroit and they get it figured out. But from my opinion, I think both sides won this trade as of now. In the future, obviously, I think that could change, granted, considering Matthew Stafford may not come out firing how they want him to, but I think he will, and I think this trade was even. Next big thing I wanted to talk about is that the New Orleans Saints are looking to bring back Jameis Winston. As you know, Drew Brees is most likely going to retire. He hasn't officially announced it, but it's pretty much, he's going to retire. And I think this is a great move. I like Jameis Winston. I know he's had that 30 for 30 season, 30 touchdowns, 30 picks. But he had eye surgery, and he's learning behind Drew Brees. I think he could turn it around, and especially with the offensive mastermind Sean Payton is, I think he can get it to work, and he could obviously throw in Taysom Hill, to kind of take some pressure off Jameis. So I think this is a great move, and I'd love to see the results. I think Winston will come out, obviously maybe not a Pro Bowl season, but I think he could lead them to a playoff seed. I know the Saints cap situation is kind of crazy, so we'll kind of see how that all plays out in the offseason, who they bring back, who they restructure contracts with. My buddy JD, as you guys all know, is confident that, the owner can turn it around and kind of get things situated. But, you also got to take in consideration that some of these players might want to make them, they don't want to restructure their contract to make it smaller so they can make the money. I know it's not all about the money, but some players think that way. But if they want to win, they're going to need to figure that out. And, they have all these good guys. I think they're still going to be a playoff contender. Obviously Atlanta's not very good. They're bringing back Matt Ryan and Julio, though, so they're always a threat. Panthers kind of struggling, but they're in the fight for Watson. So it should be interesting to see how that division kind of plays out. And obviously the Bucs are in the Super Bowl, so hopefully they, make that decision to keep Winston. If not, they're going to be looking, because I'm not sure if I would trust Taysom Hill unless they they won 2 games, but those were against Atlanta and the Broncos, who didn't have a quarterback. So I would love to see, them bring back Jameis, because I don't know if Taysom can, run a team for the entire season, as he has a background of injuries. The next thing I want to talk about is Tua. He recently came out and says that he has to prove himself. He still has to prove that he's a franchise quarterback. He said it himself. He thinks his rookie year was very subpar, which, it wasn't terrible. He shows some signs. He is very passive. He's not a very big risk taker. So I think learning behind Fitzpatrick, kind of helped him in that area a little bit, but I still think he's a little too worried to turn the ball over. So I would love to see how he progresses this offseason into the next. I do think he has what it takes. He's a great decision maker, can make throws under pressure. He's mobile. Even though he's a hip injury, he came back pretty well. He can get out of, risky situations. And I hope he does well. I love Tua. He's a great guy. As you guys all, you could tell through media, he's just a super genuine guy. So I'll be rooting for him. And Miami's got a bright future. So they're either going to trade for Watson or they're going to stick with Tua. And I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. I'm rooting for him. The Packers did end up firing their defensive coordinator. I wanted to bring that up, which I've talked to some Packers fans. They said that the year before, when they lost to the Niners in the championship game, they thought they should fire him then, but they didn't. They held him for this year, and then after the loss to Tampa Bay, they, decided to fire him, which I think was fitting, even though their defense played well in that game for about a half. I think it was the right decision. Green Bay has always had a mediocre defense. This year it was kind of different. They played better. They were still around number 10 to 15, so they were still somewhat average to above average. So I think that was a good move. Hopefully they can bring in a good defensive coordinator, kind of take his spot. Other things I think the Packers should look to in the offseason, I think they have a good running back in A.J. Dillon. He had some great plays, so I do not think they have to re-sign, Aaron Jones or Jamal Williams. Maybe go for a receiving back to kind of help out A.J. Dillon. I'm going to give an example. Washington has J.D. McKissick. I think we have him locked up, but I think they should go and get a guy kind of like that to kind of help, Rodgers, dump off if they needed to, because Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams are really good at that. I think they could bring back Jamal Williams, but there's no guarantee they will. Maybe get Rodgers another, receiving threat. Allen Robinson, Kenny Galladay. They got a lot of, good options out there. I know their offense wasn't the problem. Obviously, they should go for some defensive guys, maybe in the draft. I'm not sure what pick they have, probably late, like 25. Definitely go for a defensive guy, maybe defensive lineman. Their secondaries, maybe get a slot corner. And King got cooked. He probably won't be back. Maybe go for a corner. or defensive, maybe middle linebacker somewhere in there, help along that. But I do think they should get Rodgers some help on the offense. I know they had the best offense in the league, but Valdez-Scantling still isn't super proven. Lazard isn't super proven, and that was kind of the main target going into the last offseason, and they didn't get anything to help them. So I could expect Rodgers, got some word in, and maybe they're going to consider drafting a wide receiver in the first or second round. So we'll see how that pans out. Hopefully they don't, make another silly decision. I mean, Jordan Love could come out in a couple years and be amazing, but hopefully they, don't fire up Rodgers even more, because he deserves all the weapons he can get. As you see with Mahomes, I saw someone bring this up. Mahomes, they have like 10 good receivers, and literally their playbook is endless. You do that with Rodgers, I think you'll get similar results. So maybe they could get as much weapons from. But I can see them drafting a defensive player, early on in the draft and going for some in free agency. But I do think they should spend a pick or two, first, second, or third round on a wide receiver. Next thing, I wanted to give my thoughts on the Washington football team season. Pretty crazy season. We started very roughly. I mean, first week one, Haskins starting majority of the beginning of the season, beat the Eagles, came back. Haskins, I was, looking forward to Haskins. And then we went downhill from there. We were 2-7 through 9 weeks. Haskins was benched. Alex Smith had come in at that point. And when Alex Smith started to take over, the whole team started to trend upwards. He was 5-1 as a starter. We ended up going 7-9 after starting 2-7, excuse me. So that was awesome. Our defense was amazing. I can't even begin to talk about how proud I was of our defense. Chase Young looked good. Montez Sweat looked good. De'Aaron Payne looked good. Our whole defensive front was amazing. Ronald Darby played good. Kendall Fuller, all complimentary. And then we got a steal in the 7th round of the draft last year in Cameron Curl, which was awesome. Landon Collins was hurt this year, so he will be back next year. And, I've heard a lot of mixed feelings. He's, sometimes he plays, very badly, but sometimes he makes good plays. I think him and Cameron Curl can make a dangerous duo. And maybe even trade Landon Collins because Everett is good, and we had a couple other guys go down with injuries. But I'm excited for next year. I think we're going to add a wide receiver in the first round, maybe trade up for a quarterback. As you know, Washington was looking to get Stafford, and that obviously fell through. I don't want to get my hopes up for Watson, but I do think we should I wouldn't mind if we lost all of our draft picks this year and we go for Watson, because obviously that'll bring in, maybe we could sign a wide receiver in free agency. But Watson, there's some other solid guys. Derek Carr, I would love to trade for as well. Other than that, there's shaky guys. I don't know. I doubt Dallas will let Dak Prescott walk, but obviously I'd be open to bringing him in. Those are really the top 3 guys left. I'm probably forgetting some, but those are the top 3 I have in mind. And then the playoff came around. I kind of jumping around, but the playoffs came around. We put up a great fight versus the Bucs, who are in the Super Bowl now. Terrell Heineke really just looked like a hero out there on the field, diving for the touchdown, keeping us in that game. Our defense didn't even play that well in that game, and our offense just kind of, surprised everybody, kept us in that game. So just looking back on the season, I'm really proud of our guys. I'm really proud of our season, and I'm just looking forward to the future we have. We have such a bright future. If we get it figured out offensively, we got it. I've heard some people say we're a quarterback away. Not only that, I think we need maybe one more weapon. I was looking forward to Steven Sims, showing up this year, but he didn't have a great year. He was injured a couple of weeks. Cam Sims looked solid the last couple of weeks, but I do think we should go after a guy like Allen Robinson or Kenny Galladay. So those are my predictions. I think we should re-sign Darby and a lot of the other guys we have under contract still. So that's my thoughts. Anybody else wants to come help out Washington, feel free. Shoot, maybe we should trade for fucking Rodgers. I don't know, but nah. Imagine. I heard the Rams tried to go after Rodgers and they denied him. And imagine Aaron Rodgers on the fucking Rams, bro. That would probably be one of the best teams of all time. Literally the number 1 defense, and then Rodgers could make your offense the number 1 offense. So, hey, what could have been and what could be with Washington in the future? I'm super excited about that. And the last NFL thing that I saw on Twitter, so this is not a final source, I saw that there is rumors of Andrew Luck coming out of retirement and coming back to the Colts. Now, I talked about this a couple podcasts ago. What if Andrew Luck came back? And if Andrew Luck comes back, I think they are the number 1, number 2 team in the AFC, along with the Chiefs, obviously. Just the fact that Andrew Luck was so good, and back then the Colts were not very good. And now they have the number 1 defense and one of the best offensive lines in football, which is one of the reasons why Andrew Luck retired, because their offensive line was not good and he kept getting injured. But now they have the best offensive line in football and one of the best defenses in football. So, man, it would be so scary if Andrew Luck came there. I think as long as he, came back to the player he was, I could only see good things. AFC championships, possible Super Bowls. It'd be a great game. Imagine Chiefs versus Colts with Andrew Luck. Obviously, Philip Rivers did his thing this year. He played, pretty well. But I think if you replace Philip Rivers with Andrew Luck, there's no going back. You're a Super Bowl contender, no doubt. And now they have a run game with Jonathan Allen. It's scary to imagine. Now let's get right into NBA. That's all I got for the NFL. Next week we are going to be, assuming Fayed's back or whoever's on the show with me, we're going to be making our way too far ahead NFL predictions. We're going to predict the records of every NFL team going into next season. Obviously, we're going to do it again, before the season or after free agency. But we're going to do way too far ahead. So stay tuned for that and a bunch of other things. We're going to recap the Super Bowl. That's just NFL. NBA, we're just kind of go along with whatever happens. Obviously, NBA is a long season. Some weeks are boring, some weeks are crazy. So just stick with us for the NBA stuff. And the NFL is coming to an end, so we got to figure out what else we should talk about. So let me know. Should be fun. Now, first thing I want to talk about, I don't know if you guys saw the Wizards versus the Nets game, man. That was a wild game. Oh my gosh, I was so down and out because we were about to lose again, and Bradley Beal having a good game, and Russ even decided to show up and ball out. We were down 5 with 12 seconds left. Beal comes up, hits a deep 3. Then Garrison Matthews steals the ball, hits Russ, and Russ drains the ball through the net with 4 seconds left. We take a 1-point lead, and I was going crazy. I wish there was a video reaction. I was just jumping up and down, going crazy. And then the Nets missed the layup. They fouled. We, hit free throws, sealed the game. But I was really hoping this would spark something for us. And then we came out, and we were getting blown out by Portland, but we ended up losing by about 9. Beal once again put up great numbers, but I'm still hopeful that this can spark something in the Wizards. We're 4-13, and I think we got a lot of stuff to prove. I think we can turn this around and make the playoffs, and especially if Russ keeps playing like that. I think he played okay last night. He's definitely shooting better than he did, and he's not playing tonight versus the Heat, sadly. But I do think this sparks something in Russ. I think he's going to start playing better, and I hope our whole team can get it figured out. Obviously, our defense is terrible. That's really what we got to work on. We're probably allowing 140 points a night, 130, which is ridiculous and should just not be happening. As far as Bradley Beal, he came out and said that he is not interested in requesting a trade from Washington, which a lot of the rumors were going around, help Bradley Beal get him out of Washington. And I'm just, happy to see that he wants to stay. And I'm not gonna lie, I would perfectly understand if he wanted out, due to the fact that we're not giving him any help. But I respect the hell out of him for wanting to stay, and I just hope that Washington just gets him what we need. And Bradley Beal deserves the world, man. I said this a couple times to my friends. He deserves everything. I hope we can get him some help and we can start winning again in Washington. I don't really know what to do right now. Hopefully some of the free agents will sign with us next year. Hopefully maybe we'll make a trade that'll help us this season. I don't know. I'm just, our team's not bad. Like, I look at our roster, we got solid players, but our defense is really just our defense. We probably have I think we have the second or first worst defense in the NBA, which has to change. Maybe we're not giving enough effort. Maybe our schemes are terrible. But something needs to change. Maybe Scott Brooks needs to go. He's been on the hot seat for a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone. but we need to change something now. So Beal wants to stay. The next NBA-related topic is that the NBA is pushing towards a March 7th All-Star game, which I'm glad they're doing. They are also considering doing a three-point contest and a dunk contest, which obviously everybody loves and would love to see next year. And then I wanted to make my All-Star starters predictions. I'm also going to mention some honorable mentions that could make the team. There's some obvious ones that I won't say that obviously should make it, but I'm going to give my starters right now. I forgot to fill one in, so I'm going to write it right here. So I'm going to start with the West. Number one, at point guard, I'm going to go Steph Curry, or the backcourt, I'm going to go Steph Curry. And then number two, Damian Lillard. I think they deserve to go. They're averaging about the same amount of points, both, leading their teams to solid records. Steph actually, surprisingly, not surprisingly to me, but surprisingly to a lot of people, is leading the Warriors. I think they're 10-9, 11-10, something like that. They got a solid seed in the West over there. And Lillard, he saw him hit the game winner the other night, just balling out. And I've always liked Lillard. So that'll be awesome to see. I think he deserves a starting spot this year after being robbed all those years. At three, I got LeBron. You got to put LeBron in there. Obviously, probably the best player in the league right now. KD, maybe. But LeBron's definitely number one right now. You got to put him in there. Number four, I got Kawhi Leonard. I believe he's playing better than Anthony Davis and, most of the other contenders for starters. I believe he's averaging like 27 around there. And he's obviously a great defensive player, so I think he should be there. Number five, I got Jokic. He's been an MVP candidate recently. Dropped 47 the other night. Obviously, he averages, like 10 and 8 rebounds and assists. Obviously deserves to be there. Honorable mentions, I think, could make the team, not starters, but could make the West All-Star team. De'Aaron Fox been balling. Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Jeremy Grant. He's been balling over there. Actually, he might be on Detroit, but my bad. He's on Detroit. But I think he should make it in the East. I'm going to get to that later, but I accidentally put his name over there. And then Brandon Ingram's and Robert Woods. Or not Robert Woods. I'm blanking on his name. Woods from the Rockets. I got to look it up. I'm blanking. Forgive me. Christian Wood. I'm so sorry. I'm going to neck myself for that one. Christian Woods, I believe he deserves a spot on the All-Star team this year too, just the jump he's made. And if not All-Star, most improved player at the end of the year. Now let me get to the East. At number one, I got a tie. I think it go either way between Trae Young and Kyrie. I do think Kyrie's playing more consistent, so I would put Kyrie over Trae Young right now. But I think once Trae Young finds his, jumper and, all that, I think he might take over that spot. But I know an issue with Trae Young right now is that he's drawing a lot of fouls in a kind of cheap way. He'll get the defender behind him locked in prison, and he'll jump back into him, shoot a shot, get the foul call, and that's a lot of people are kind of getting mad at that, which is smart to do, but I can see why it's super frustrating. Dude getting 18 free throws a night. So maybe they'll make a rule change. We'll see. And number two, I got to go my man Brad Beal. He deserves it. I don't know any player in the league that deserves it more than Brad Beal. So he better get a spot. Last year he was averaging 30 and did not make the team. So if he doesn't make it this year, something's wrong. Number three, I'm going to go Kevin Durant. He's also one of the MVP finalists right now. So I can't leave him out of the starting lineup. And number four, I'm going to go Giannis. Giannis had a slow start to the season, but recently he's picked it up. I believe he's averaging around 27 now. So obviously I think he's got to be in there. And number five, another MVP center candidate, Joel Embiid. He's been balling out. I'm not a big Joel Embiid fan due to the fact that he was early in his career, he was kind of talking so much shit, and he had barely played, but now he's proved himself. I'm starting to like him a little more, and I believe he's definitely earned it. He's in the MVP debate. So he's got to be there. He's got to be there. Honorable mentions, I'm going to start with Grant. Jeremy Grant, obviously I got that confused. He's on the Pistons now. Colin Sexton, man, he's been balling. It's fun to watch. I've been watching him since high school. And then when he played at Alabama and he took a team 3-on-5 and almost let them back. So big fan of him. Malcolm Brogdon, been balling too. He's been under the radar, super underrated. Zach LaVine, he could even be a starter over Kyrie, in my opinion. Zach LaVine just dominating this year, leading the Bulls to a play-in game seeding, 7 through 10. Jaylen Brown, you could also debate him being a starter, balling on the Celtics. A lot of people are saying that he's better right now than Jason Tatum is. I could definitely see that. obviously he could even make a starting spot. And then Julius Randle of the New York Knicks has really been dominating. Honestly, his stats wise, he's been playing better than Anthony Davis. You can debate on stats all you want, but he's been leading the Knicks to a solid record, and the future looks bright in New York. So that's how I got for that. There's some obvious guys I didn't mention, like Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum, guys along that line that are obviously going to make it. But I just wanted to say my top 5 for starting lineups, and then honorable mentions I think could sneak in there and deserve a spot on the team. The next thing I wanted to say is that NBA mandates players to wear a mask on the bench. Now, I know a lot of things kind of circulated around when Kyrie Irving and Bam Adebayo kind of were trying to swap jerseys after the game, and the security broke them up because COVID. But I could see both sides. Obviously they don't want to risk anything, but the players are tested daily, so they go and play a game literally not wearing a mask during the game. Contact sport and basketball, you're all up in somebody's face, and then after the game they can't say what's up, swap jerseys, talk to them for a little bit. That's kind of ridiculous on my point. But I do understand sort of why you can't do that, because they want to make it seem like they want to set an example for everybody. But I do think it's a little ridiculous, because they're all tested daily, and that's just how the NBA is going to handle it, and maybe they'll change it. I doubt they will until everything's back to normal. So, and then the last thing I wanted to talk about on the podcast, obviously this is a shorter one because I am by myself. We'll see how long it actually was. I'm not 100% sure. But the last thing is that LaMelo Ball got his first start, and he is well on the way to being Rookie of the Year, and he's only been playing about 20, 25 minutes a game. But the only reason he did get his start is because Terry Rozier got an injury. And in his first start, they got a win over the Miami Heat. And then a couple of days before that, he dropped 27 and 8 on the Milwaukee Bucks, who are one of the best defensive teams in the league usually. So I think this is well deserved and, should have happened earlier, honestly. This one guy I watch, Spawn Hour on TikTok, you'll follow him. He's a Hornets fan. He's always saying, LaMelo should start, and I 100% agree. And I hope he continues to start. I'm not sure how Terry Rozier's status is. I think maybe move Devontae Graham or Terry Rozier onto the bench. Probably Graham. I think Rozier's playing a little better as of right now. But, dude, LaMelo's showing so much potential. He has potential to literally average a triple-double. I'm not sure what his averages are right now. I know it's probably, my guess, 13, 8, and 7. That's my guess. I'll pause this and look it up and then give you what it actually is. But well deserved. I think his numbers are only going to go up if he starts, and he's starting to play bigger minutes. And I'm a big LaMelo Ball fan. I've liked him since obviously he's been popular, freshman year of high school at Chino Hills, playing with his brothers. But he's earned it. Glad to see it. I'm going to pause it right here and get his real stats real quick. All right, well, I was a little bit off. Not too much. He's averaging 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. So I was somewhat close. A little too much on the rebounds and assists. So yeah, obviously those numbers are going to go up, and he has a chance to get Rookie of the Year. Him and Wiseman, and even Anthony Edwards is starting to improve, so it should be a good little race. And Halliburton is also playing really well. There's a lot of candidates for this Rookie of the Year this year. Now, that's going to do it for y'all. That's going to do it for this 20th edition of the Sports Podcast. This one might have been a little weird. This is the first time I've done it by myself, so, bear with me. I probably stuttered a couple times, stared into the camera a couple times. I started pausing it. Because on Zoom, I'm doing this on Zoom, you could pause it, kind of during, like after a topic, I would pause it, kind of regather my thoughts and go on to the next one. Sometimes I wouldn't, sometimes I would. But bear with me, this was the first one I was kind of by myself. Might have been shorter than usual. I feel like this one was like 30, 40 minutes. So, maybe not too bad. I probably will be breaking this one up into, videos on YouTube. So go follow that. And I'm also on TikTok now. Go follow that. I'm trying to, promote my shit a little bit more. So I'll have the links are already under here. If you're watching the podcast, and if you're watching the YouTube, I'll put them here too. Go check me out in the bio. I'll put shit in the description. But hope you all enjoyed. This was 20th episode. Hopefully Fayed can be back. But as I said before, we're gonna give him his space. And let me know if you want to see anybody else on. We got a lot of options. Could add some new people. Just let me know if you want to see someone new or if you want to bring back somebody. That's really what I want to know. And then if you want us to talk about anything specifically, go ahead, drop it in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. This was the 20th episode, and I'm Logan Cross. Peace out, y'all. Yes, sir.